We're live. It's just like that now. I'm live. Tell me when I'm live, man. Somebody say, yes, you said, am I live? And you know what? You're live. When I see that, game on. Well, am I live? Somebody, anybody. Ah, yes. Thank you, Matt. Damn, man. Right on, Matt. All right. So tonight, I wanted to begin with Adrienne Quintal. Now, as like most people know, having watched my videos, as I'm sure that everybody does and has and so forth. Man, I wish I could get rid of that on Chrome. God, man. They keep popping up and I don't know how to end it. Anyways, Adrienne Quintal's body was found 400 yards from her cabin. Now, the autopsy hasn't come out. However, and this goes back to the interview that I had with Benzie County Sheriff Ted something. I forget his last name. I don't want to piss him off, though. I don't want him upset at WKAT for mispronouncing his name. But anyway, when I reached him, I had told him, man, I says, all right, from what I understand, there was no evidence of anybody being outside. Yeah, nope, nobody. No tire tracks, no foot tracks. Man, we checked all that. We did. Was there an outside light? No, there wasn't. But there were shells fired from inside, bullets from outside, or from inside being shot outside. Yes, sir. There were shells on the ground. Okay, now, this is what I understand. Her boots and cell phone were on the roof. But her handgun, a 9mm, was found on the ground below the window, minus shells. Now, let me ask people something. If you're at a cabin in the woods and you called somebody to get law enforcement to that cabin for help, to call law enforcement, and you got a 9mm handgun, are you going to shoot all the shells, all that, and then try to run through a window when men outside are trying to kill you? That doesn't make logical sense to me. It makes zero sense to me. In fact, it sounds like the very last thing that somebody would do. I mean, here it is. I'm a person. I'm at a cabin. And hey, for whatever reason, man, and it could be any reason. Make it mental issues. Make it real. Make it alien abduction, anything that you want. I think that people are outside that cabin and they are shooting at me and I'm inside and I have a loaded 9mm pistol. What I'm going to do is kill those lights and I'm going to hunker down behind something because I've already called and I know law enforcement's coming and I'm waiting for them to enter. Because when they enter, I'm going to shoot them dead. Dead on the spot. That's how that operates. Now, she didn't do that, apparently. Now, and again, let me go back to what law enforcement said. We searched that area extensively. We used air. We used drone. We used canine that picked up no scent of her. We had search parties that covered that entire area, including her family was out there and never stopped. She was found in 3 feet of water. 3 feet of water at the branch. Well, it's actually a little run or a flat or however in the hell they would call it up there, which is just it's a creek. Okay. Now, the family had searched that in the past, and somebody said, well, there was snow on the ground. No, there was zero snow on the ground when this occurred. So I really do question how extensively law enforcement really searched that area if she was to be found right there at a dam. That's what they called it, a dam of 3 feet of water, like almost 2 months later. Now, if it comes back murder, which I would suspect that it would, I just would. But to me, that sounds kind of like a double cross because she had to know this people was going to be there. She would have had to. Okay? Why would she exit with an empty pistol, having shot outside with no shots being fired back? It's the only thing that sounds logical to me. Now, if she fell in 3 feet of water and drowned, there it is, without anybody being up there, then that's odd. Who's going to fall in 3 feet of water and drown? Literally, No one. So, yeah, it's a very odd case, man. It's very, very odd. And I'm still waiting to see the conclusion because I want to know, man, what was the real happenings? Why didn't she hunker down inside that cabin with the 9mm without wasting the shells? What was taken off toward the west doing for her? Unless she was running from somebody. But again, if she was running from somebody that she knew was out there, why exit the cabin? Does everybody follow? I mean, did I lose anybody on all this? It's just me, but I find it very hard to comprehend. Man, there were so many people. All right, let me get some hellos in here. Mark Ray, Alaska Blue, Wombat Dundee. Like that name. That's just cool as all get out. Nina Armstrong. Hey, haven't seen you in a while. Marlene Griffith. Ryan Kelly, a dude I know. He plays a strong game of chess. He's kind of weak on his Sicilian defense, but hey, you know what? He's learning. Devil Ants. Carol Rose. Hey, man, look, everybody's showing up, and there's 17 people here. Now, Smart Money says I got like 3 thumbs up. That's what I'm expecting about right now because everybody's too damn lazy to hit that thumbs up for me. Now, you know who does hit those thumbs? I'll tell you, trolls. Trolls can't wait. They go and they change like accounts so that they can keep coming back and hitting that thumbs down. The people that come here to watch me, they're like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, he won't know, man. He don't give a shit. But YouTube does, and that's where it matters. Thank you. Oh, right on, Devil Ants. Hey, Delphi Shut. That's kind of a cool name too, man. I like that, man. It's kind of like racehorse names. Yeah. Anywho, so unless anybody had anything that they wanted to go further on Adrian Quintal, again, man, it seems odd. And I can pull that picture up where I was talking to the sheriff about that. If you went east of the property, you ran into swamp. If you headed the other way, then you're crossing the highway. You're crossing Indian Hill Road to actually get back over to the other side to get into that 3 feet of water and drown. It just doesn't seem likely, man. Look, a woman with a 9mm living in a cabin in Upper Michigan don't know how to swim. Okay, the water is cold, but she knows she just fell in it and can get right back out. I don't know, man. That's very odd, very peculiar. But this whole case has been peculiar since I heard about it. When I heard about how it went down, I said, man, that just doesn't sit right, man. That's not the way a case normally runs. Well, it's still following that direction. I mean, I assumed that if they found her dead, it would probably, I didn't assume that they would find her dead. I figured that either A, she'd be alive, or if she was double crossed, then what had happened was they would have put that body where nobody ever would have found it. And they would have said, hey, got no body, you got no evidence, up yours. So anywho, just my take on it. But yeah, I say she drowned. I mean, she was found in 3 feet of water. That's the proposed answer, right? She drowned. Did she? Or was she shot in the head, man? Was she strangled and then thrown in? I mean, like, these are answers we don't have until the autopsy gets back. But when the autopsy comes back, if it shows she fell in the creek and drowned, yeah, then it brings up some really stirring questions because then I'm a little unbelieving. I'm going to say she was purposely drowned. Possibly double-crossed, but I ain't swearing to that because I ain't got evidence. Said that in my last video. I ain't got evidence for all this. It's what it smells like. I get a deep smell of double-cross. Anybody else, man? I mean, it did smell like brownies at first. But there was definitely a double-cross in the background. I mean, I got hints to it. Now, suicide? Why would she kill herself when she called a friend to get help? And there's people outside shooting at me. I shot one of them in the face. That ain't something that somebody goes over and suicides himself beforehand. I'm just saying. Ain't the way I would have played it, none. Ain't no way. All right. So, now, anyway. let me get to my weekend, because you know what, as Christmas rolls around, you know what, forgive me for saying as much at this point, but Santa Claus comes tonight. This is the night he comes, every night. Yeah. And Wolf's got presents. Wolf has presents, man, already under the tree for him. He's going to like them. I can't wait to give them to him. I don't think he can wait to open them either. You know where I'm at? So anyway, though, Santa Claus comes tonight. Now, I spent my week prepping that video, because people, I am still prepping that video. Do not miss that video, man, because that timestamp video is premiere. It is going to, it will literally cover every single person's path. Every single person's path. Well, within reason, if you know what I mean. But it's going to cover every entry, every general walking time, the time spent. It's going to have a clock at the bottom, and it's going to break down where everybody was, where they crossed paths, where they spoke, where they met, abduction, when the person came in, when flannel shirt guy went back. It's going to be all encompassing, and it will have 100% from everything that is known and that I know to be true in it. That will not be missed, man. Cool name for a cat. Woofy? Are you stating that Woofy is a good name for a cat? It really ain't. It's a good name for a dog, though. Yeah, you know what, man? I kind of wanted Woof here, right off the go, just real quick, because, it is Christmas Eve and shit. But you know what? We'll probably have a Christmas special. I mean, tomorrow, like after gifts and stuff like that, then we can sit here and we can discuss like, oh, wait, man. You don't understand, man. This is how this is playing. I got my first Christmas gift this week. Hang on. Hold on. Hang on. Hey, I want to take a minute. Quick second. All right, so this week I got mail. All right, I was with a friend. We stopped by, man. I reached my mailbox. Well, I went blurry. Hang on, man. It does that when I stand up and sit down real quick, man. It's like complete head trip. So anyway, I got this book from Barbara J. Spicer. She was telling me about this when she was down here, man. It actually happened near her, man. It's this book about this crime. Also came with a Christmas card from her and her husband, Joe. And they sent me a CD of all the music that they play. And now when they came out here, man, they played me quite a few songs. They brought their instruments. So I had kind of a personal concert and everything. So that was really fantastic. And I was glad to get that, because Barbara J. Spicer and her husband, Joe, are great people, man. I love it when they stop by, When I meet people, it makes them real. You see where I'm at? It's like I get a bunch of emails, man, and it's like every name is a name because I don't know them. Even when I speak to somebody on the phone, man, it's like I know their voice, maybe, sometimes. But I don't, it's like when you see and meet them and shake their hand and you talk to them, you get to know them, man. And that's really awesome. I've met a few people, from the case, and I met another one this weekend. We went over and had lunch here in Burlington. Fantastic time. And it's always good to meet people, man. It really is. Now, I believe this Friday, me and Mike Weaver are going back out to Monon High Bridge Trail to finish off the filming of all that. We got 2 more to get, and then it needs placed together and edited. I've already edited the other 2 segments together, but then I'm breaking that down into pieces, because when I stop in one, I want to stop it with the clock, but then discuss what it is that I felt happened in that area. That way you can kind of see it in live time. It's going to be very long, probably be an extent of maybe a couple to a few hours long, literally, just for all that. So don't miss that crap. Believe me, you don't want to. Now, let's get back to the reason that everybody came. It's Delphi, isn't it? That's what everybody wants to hear, huh? All right. Yeah, let's talk about Delphi. Let's just do it, man. You know, let's just get right back to Delphi. That's what I do. It's Delphi. Well, I guess on Delphi, let's see, is there anything that I have failed to mention ever on Delphi? No, probably not. Probably nothing. Man, there just ain't much that, really going Delphi right now. I mean, it would be nice, man, if like at the February press conference, they give us something to talk about. But man, I mean, like even if they brought up like a new person of interest, where would that go? Yeah, exactly. Any new news on Delphi? No, man, but there hadn't been. There hasn't been since last April, man. And then it's been, it's just been, lip zip tight, man. So, hey, there's Weave. What's up, Weave? So there really isn't anything new, and there probably isn't going to be anything new, and that's going to go for a year. Now, I got my deductions. I got them all notarized and recorded. I'm doing the same in Howard County as did Carroll County. So now Icons, man, he assures me it's foolproof. He said that makes all of this your intellectual property, man. That can't even be discussed in court. That shit's yours. I'm like, you're the best, man. You're the best. Yeah. You know what? Feel free to call in, Nina. You know what? If I know somebody, it's always good to hear from them. If it's Jason or Kelly or the pizza guy, then I get a little shitty. Well, who wouldn't? Well, I mean, except for the pizza guy. Oh, then there was a guy that was delivering marijuana. He showed up. He didn't. He failed me. He didn't even show up, man. I feel like such a jackass for believing. Yeah, sometimes you get played. Man, no. Yeah, but no, I told Weaver to call in at about 7, man. I figured there would be other things to discuss in that meantime. But it's hard to get onto a topic that's on the case because there isn't really much of anything that a person could ask that hasn't been explained 100 times in the last year. Literally 100 times in the last year. In fact, normally when somebody asks something like that, I say, well, couldn't you just please look at a prior video where I answered that question 5 times, So, but you know what? And that's why I like when Devil Lance calls in because, he does have some good, newer questions that, they resonate, man. Thank you very much, Nina. Hang on a minute. Let me highlight that. Bam. There it is. Thank you. You rock the most. And if you want to call in, please do. Drug rehab billboards. You know what, man? That probably means that Delphi just got a new drug rehab. That's exactly what it means. Hey, you got a drug problem? Come on down. Or we'll sentence you here. That's right. Right in Carroll County. Under the same sheriff. Yeah. Hang on. Let me put the number up. That is the number. And you can go live, like right here on the show. It'll be a great time. All right. Well, it takes a while to dial, I guess. So, you know what? I was thinking violin. Would I look good playing a violin? Anybody think I would be okay playing a violin? I kind of want to learn. Never really thought about the violin until recent, but then I got to thinking maybe I should have started playing the violin. Why does it take so long to go? I'll get right back to that. Hang on. Hey. Hey, what's up, dude? I see. You want to go live? All right. It is Michael Weaver, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for former heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Weaver.
So how's it going, man?
It's going. How's it going with you, man? You having a good Christmas Eve?
Oh yeah, man. You know, no, I'm coming out of retirement. You know, I'm gonna come back to boxing, and thing over there, you just see all this food that everybody's making, and I can't have it. You know.
Yeah. You thinking about a comeback at your age?
Well, you know, I'm trying to get my bladder shit under control. You know, or I'm gonna have to box in Depends undergarments. You know, I mean. Yeah, it just sucks, but hey, we'll get there, you know.
Hey, man, you know, I've seen people in worse shape box, you know. In my past, I have.
My cane, you know, I mean, I'm going to try last one round, you know.
Well, you know what? Hey, I wish you the best. In fact, I hope Larry Holmes comes out of retirement. That would make for a great third fight, would it not? You know, you guys get in there and mix it up, you know.
Well, you know, I lost 10 pounds, you know, I'm scaling in at 300, so got a little ways to go.
Well, you know what? I believe you'll get there, man. I believe you can make it happen.
Well, anyways, man, you going to tell them about our trip that's coming up this Friday? Going back out there?
Yeah, in fact, we're getting back out there Friday, and we want to go back in from Freedom Bridge. And what we're doing this time too is taking flannel shirt guys arrival from Freedom Bridge and walking to Monon High Bridge. That's where he stopped and then returned and got pretty close to the secondary entrance when he talked to Derek German. So we want to get that down and then plus go in at the secondary entrance and then walk that on across. So that's going to be the method that we are traveling this week. Now, once we get that done, then it's all set to be edited and put up, and it will be the best timeline that could be ever recorded on that crime. I assure you of that. View it.
I can't wait to get back out there, you know. We just take the time and make sure we cover everything. And
it's a good time, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty place.
It is. It's very historic.
You just got that feeling, you know. I mean, you know what happened out there. That just really ruined it. But.
Yeah, but you know what? That's it. I mean, and you know what? With Darren Flora, I mean, had we have known of that place, known of that particular area, because I don't even know that it was a trail at that time, was it?
No.
You know, I
mean, I never heard of it.
I'm not sure what year they made it a trail. I remember when the trains went through, when Dad first moved out there in '86, they were still going through that route. But I think they stopped that in '87, and it would have had to been after '87 when they took the tracks out and made it a trail.
Well, I was there back in the early 2000s. Because they still had Andersons out there, and
Anderson's still Anderson still
not,
gets
not the grain, but the Anderson store.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to say it was in the 2000s, 2005, somewhere. I would have to find out.
Well, the thing is they dislocated that track there. And what I mean by that is, like, if you go to Anderson's now, they still got the track coming from the north.
Oh, yeah, it runs at Logansport.
Yeah, and where that they can pull in there, fill up, and then go back out. You know, but it used to adjoin that track right there.
Yeah.
But Anderson still has a live railroad track.
Now, that brings up Logansport. Here a couple of show or two ago, talking about, you know, you lose your heartland, goes all the way to 24 Wayne. You know, they're just on the west side of Logansport, they have scales in the road that has cameras.
Yeah.
So as you're going, it'd be north and south, but it can actually take picture of you driving down the road.
Well, now they
wondering if those cameras are active. You know, I mean, they can get your license plate, you sitting in the car, everything.
Now they have those there, and they have them in Lafayette. But here's the thing: nobody knew that what car he was driving. Nobody even knew if he drove. So while they was looking locally at that time to see if anybody had passed through Delphi, they didn't really know what they was looking for. Now, I believe after they arrested Thomas Bruce and knew the car that he had drove, because they had what do you call that? Where they hold back those cameras as evidence.
Yeah.
And they had held that video back from a lot of those that was on the Hoosier Heartland for that reason. But once they knew what car he was driving, then they could locate him. And I believe that they have since did that since his arrest of last year. That was on the 21st of November. But after the FBI got his DNA and everything, I'm sure they went over that. Once they knew what vehicle, they narrowed that right down. Hang on a minute. Kind of in a call currently. Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, anything?
Do what?
Well, did you have another question or?
Oh, no. No, I just figured I'd call in, man.
Well, man, I'm glad you're coming out of retirement. Holy crap. I don't know. Maybe you should take on Boy Scouts at first.
I'm thinking about it, I mean, I got the 24-year-old son. I think I maybe spar with him a little bit.
What are you, in your mid-60s now?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be the oldest man to ever box?
Well, yeah, I would be, but, I mean, hell, stranger things happen, I mean, I could win the world championship back.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, George Foreman did it at 45. Why not?
Yeah.
You're 20 years older than him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But anyways, I'll jump off here. We'll go in there, get on my exercise bike, and burn some calories, and I'll watch your show a little bit longer, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you calling, dude. I'll talk to you soon. You have a good Christmas.
Right. Hey, same to you, brother. Bye.
Peace. All right, man. Well, that was Michael Weaver, everybody. So, what about a fiddle? Well, I was going to buy a fiddle to learn on. Just to sit and just play a fiddle, man. I don't know, man. It's just me. I like a guitar, but you know what? Unless you got all the effects and everything just all right, then it's just plain. Where I thought, man, if I had a fiddle, man, hey, I could fiddle while Rome burned. If I want, if somebody wanted to burn Rome, I mean, I wouldn't go set that fire just so I could fiddle, though. I think that'd be a little lame reason, but. If it was burning, I would probably fiddle, at least to the degree that I could. All right, so let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, Nina, if you don't mind. Let's see. Oh, Mark Ray, why does it take so long to go to trial? Well, it don't, because you got to have your initial trial, which is normally right after you're arrested. Then you got your pre-trial where they set up like plea bargains and so forth like that. He's saying, "No, man, I'm pleading innocent." So they say, "Okay, we got to set this up for a jury trial." Well, he's got first degree murder and 16 other felony counts with the public defender. That don't happen overnight. But be damned on that. I hope what he gets is life without parole. Down there. That's what he deserves, minimally. Myself, if I was prosecutor, I would have went for death. You know, I ain't no FLT. Sorry, but I'm not. In fact, I would have did it next day. You will hang by your neck until you are no longer alive at noon tomorrow. Dismissed here. Have a nice day. See you at noon tomorrow there, buddy. That's how you play. That's how you do that shit. Now, let's see. Let's get down to here. And you know what? I'll just show that again because that's the number. Hey, you know what? If you had a fiddle of gold, maybe we could. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Katie. And you know what? I do hope that everybody out there does have a very Merry Christmas. I mean, this is Christmas Eve, but wouldn't you know, it's Tuesday at 6 p.m. And this is my live show. And I did want to throw some stuff out there because it is Christmas Eve, you know, and Santa Claus comes tonight. And you know what? Probably about the time I go to bed, it's the time he'll be arriving, if I know how it works. I go to bed about 12:30, and yeah, it's probably about the time he arrives. I don't even know where he comes in at. I have no clue how he gets in. He must like under doorways or I don't even know, man. Maybe he comes up through the plumbing. How the hell would he get in here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Oh, really? Hold on a minute. That is my telephone number right there. That is how it's done. And you know what? Maybe Wolf does let him in. Maybe so. Although I don't know how Wolf can do it, man. I'm a light sleeper, and usually Wolf's like right there in bed with me. It's like, you know, I don't, you know, Wolf in the wintertime, yeah, he's in there. One good number, please. Nina, check out the screen. If you look at the screen, that's my phone number. That's it. Man, there was somebody calling while I was talking to Weaver, man. Yeah. But no, I didn't hear about a girl that was murdered around Delphi. But I will check into it. Hello. This is Michael. Who is this?
Oh, this is Nina.
Oh, hey, Nina. How you doing? You doing all right? Yeah, well, that's why I put the main one up on the screen. You know, that's the one being called. Well, is it okay to put you on live? All right, everybody. This is Nina Armstrong here. Nina, carry on.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Michael. Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Merry Christmas Eve.
Merry Christmas, man. I hope you guys have a great Christmas. Yeah.
So, Michael, I have a question for you. When we're talking about not only like you and I have talked privately about Delphi, right?
Yes.
And when it comes to Adrienne, like the one that was found dead today, like Ada, and I talked to her sister, I was wondering if you have any more information. Was there actually a shootout? Because if they only found her shells,
right,
was there anything else happening? Was she maybe having a mental breakdown? Because her sister said in an interview with John Lorden that she had a head-on collision. She had she had a head injury.
Yeah.
And people were wondering if that may have been the cause. Maybe it was not actually what happened. Do you know if when they found her, was there any violence? I'm not trying to be like too graphic. I don't want to know any details. But
Yeah, well, right. Well, here is the way that I heard it. All right.
Okay.
Now,
yeah.
I don't know if you caught my original video on this, and it goes back probably about a month ago.
Maybe I did, yeah.
Well, the sheriff said, because I was entertaining what I had heard, you know, from the articles online, that there were shots fired from inside the cabin out. There were shells on the inside, but there was no evidence, no tire tracks, no foot marks, no indications of anybody being hurt outside at all.
Yeah.
There was no outside light where she could see anybody that was outside. She was surprised by suspicious noises. Now, after all of that, in her believing, in her mind, and this is the way I would take it, that in her mind, she is believing that there are people out there with guns shooting on her, and she called a friend to call for help so law enforcement would arrive.
Right.
Now, she's got
and
a
they actually went to the wrong cabin, too, because the person she called didn't even know where the cabin was.
Exactly. I'll give it that. However, anybody in their right mind that has a 9mm pistol that's got bullets in it, and there's somebody outside and you've called for help, you're going to turn the lights out and hunker down in that cabin and wait for them to come in because they know you got a gun.
Right.
Now, why would she try to exit through a window, put her boots and cell phone on the roof, of which she was not going, I don't believe, jump out the window, lose the pistol that had no ammo in it? Now, there's men out there trying to kill her that she don't know. So why would she do that? Now, why would she take off running westward, fall into 3 feet of water and drown?
Right.
Well, that's what I got, because all of that came from the sheriff. No, we searched. There was no tire tracks. There was no foot marks. There was no indication that there was anybody out there at all.
Right, right. But here's the thing. Like, it was like a whole, like a muddy area. People were saying, like, even if you would be driving up there, you wouldn't even see the tire tracks. This is from, like, another channel. This is from John Lorden. But here's the thing. And this is why I 100% agree with you, is why would there be anything up on the roof? And then they found her gun, the gun that she shot in her self-defense, somewhere in the woods, like, I don't know, like 10 feet away.
You know, I heard that it was right.
Why would that happen? You know?
I heard that it was right under the window from where she had put the boots and the cell phone on the roof. Like she had hopped out that window and it fell out of her pocket or whatever there, but it was empty.
Oh, really?
Her gun was empty. And again, why would she go outside with an empty gun if there's men out there trying to shoot at her? It made no sense.
Yeah. I mean, like an empty gun. Maybe she did shoot because they were saying, like her sister was saying, that there were shots being fired out and there was out of the window and at an angle, and as well that the glass where it was shot from the window.
Yeah.
The glass was outside. So she did shoot, but did she shoot at anything?
Well, no, see,
was it actually something that she maybe imagined? And I'm not trying to sound like smart at all.
No. So, see, Nina,
I something like that, which is so heartbreaking. Like, she had a very bad accident with a head injury 3 or 4 months before that.
Yeah, I understand. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Law enforcement had said that shots were fired from the inside, hitting the wall, going through the window, and actually one of the bullets hit her vehicle. Okay. But into that area, every place that she was shooting toward, there was no foot tracks, no tire marks. They had canine come in to follow her scent. Now, understand that her boots were up on the roof, meaning that she would have had to probably had been barefoot. That would have left one hell of a trail for a dog to find and follow. But yeah, a dog couldn't follow it. A drone couldn't find it. Ariel couldn't see her. The search party couldn't find her. Neither could her family. And she was 400 yards from where her cabin was.
Oh, so and where was she found again? Because you are the only one who actually updated on this. Thank you so much.
Well,
where was she found? Or like, supposedly.
Well, now
it's like in a river.
Yes.
Some type of body of water. Okay.
Yes. Now, right across, if you go east from where her cabin was, now you got to go across that highway. And it's like I had told the sheriff. I said, if you go east, you run into a swamp area. I said, now if you go west, you got to cross the highway, but then you hit that little man, I forget the name of it. It's a little run.
All around your area still?
Do what?
Oh no, is this like all around your area? Like you understand like the area?
Oh yeah, I looked at it at the map. I went to Google Maps, man, found her property.
Oh, okay, all right.
It was in my last video, Nina.
No, wow, I did not know it was that.
So
like, I didn't know you. Okay,
now
please, I'm so sorry.
Now what they said was she was found at, and this is how they quoted it, a dam. It was like a dam that was at that river that was 400 yards from her cabin. All right. So now I looked at that little river and I followed it down and I found like a little, it looked like a pathway that goes over like a bridge, right? That was over that, but that was the only thing that was 100 yards from her cabin that crossed over that. So I said, that has to be it because there is no other dam aside of that.
There's no other access. Yes.
So I thought if she ran west and she ran across the highway and headed toward that, she would have knew that it was there. She wouldn't have drowned in 3 feet of water. Look, there's the Polar Bear Club. But you know what? I could hop into like 20-degree water, get out. And if I get warmth, I'm going to be okay. Or if I start running, walking, building my body heat back up. But you're not going to die falling into 3 feet of water.
No, you don't.
Right?
Actually don't. No,
so if she fell into 3 feet of water in a little creek, she would have been okay. Now, again, this brings it back to what you were saying. Well, did she hallucinate? Because here's the deal. If she was in a car accident, and I brought this up in the last time, people have been hit in the head, man. Wham! I've had a brain aneurysm, man. There's been people that had their head crushed, man. They were fine. People with a bullet through their head. You know what? They lived. But they never had no attack like that after the fact where they hallucinated it to such a high degree. In fact, 3 months after the fact, that I would mark that down to be virtually impossible. That just does not occur. But
I do absolutely agree with you, Michael. Absolutely 100%. But I was actually with somebody who did not ever had a brain injury, that had like a PTSD type of situation.
Yeah.
And that person had to be hospitalized, like in a locked ward.
Yeah.
Locked up in a ward for 6 months before he was let out. And that was my boyfriend back then, and later on my husband.
Yeah.
But that person never had like any head injury literally done to his like frontal lobe. Like we all know about this. Sometimes it is just PTSD, and if she was suffering from PTSD, and I hear like her boyfriend was a real fucking piece of a dick.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I say that on your show?
Yeah, I've said worse. Hey, I've had trolls that said worse. Thought they was getting over. But you know what? You know what I like about trolls? They always show up and they always hit a thumb. They always show up with multiple accounts. But here's the thing, like her boyfriend, like he is not really interested. I'm not saying like if there's like a situation with a female or a male happening, the first thing that I say, where's the partner and is there a body of water? Yeah. Okay? Because that is like everything that has happened every single time. We all know this. Well, and we all know that we never want to move to fucking Lumberton because that is a death trap too. But with her boyfriend, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this funny. I'm laughing because no, man. You know what? Like, it's kind of like weird. But her boyfriend, like not being involved in it. I'm thinking, is he like some sort of a suspect? Well, I asked
be
the
like
same.
somehow involved? And did they maybe have like a lover's quarrel? Did they have like a fight? It happens. It is for me very, very weird that this woman who
okay, hey, hold on, Nina. They did fight.
They did fight. Okay.
Now they had got in a fight, and that was I think the day before he left there. Okay. Now he gets back to was it Springfield? It's a suburb of Detroit. Whoa. So he's back there. You know, he's got his alibi. Now here's kind of where this comes into play in my mind. All right.
Okay.
You got a cabin out there in the middle of Michigan somewhere in a little bitty podunk town of honor, unheard of. Now you get two guys that show up. And they're going to go into this house of somebody that they don't know who it is. All right. Now, the person inside, Adrian, is firing at them from the inside with a pistol. Now, would you not leave if you was them? Say, holy fuck, this woman's armed. They know we're out here. Let's get the fuck out.
Absolutely. This is why I have dogs. This is why I am armed. If I fire like an emergency shot or because the dogs are barking, of course, this is why I want for people to leave.
Well, this is the point that I make. If she is firing at real people, those real people would have left. There would be no way for them to force her out of the locked house. She's got a handgun. Right. They don't know where she is inside that house. So again, it makes it very odd that she would leave through a window and take off running, fall into water, and drown. Now, I go back to where it was that I had said before, because if two people did show up to specifically kill her on somebody else's money, let's say as an example. All right. Then she may have I don't even know why she would have left, but let's say that she did leave and was murdered. Fair enough. They murdered her and threw her in. But then you got all this big extensive search. Well, you had the big extensive search by air, drone, dog, law enforcement, family, covering the entire area.
Yeah.
He said extensively done. All right, fair enough. She ain't there because I told him. I said there's very little area where she could have went. Okay, now she's found in the river. But did she drown? If so, again, very odd. If she was murdered, however, and I do take this back to the fact that if she was killed, I think that her body was probably placed back there after the search.
To be honest with you, I actually do agree with you 100%. When it comes to Ada, and that's what her sister calls her, Adrienne, I do believe if anything happened to her, that has to be that. It has to be like she was being drowned.
Yeah.
If she's just now being found in the river, and I saw your update on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, what? I was like rooting for this girl. I was her sister and all that. And now she's found being drowned. She was and here's the thing, even if she fired one shot, just one shot, tells me this woman is a goddamn, and I'm sorry, motherfucking fighter.
Yeah.
She's not going to go into the river by herself. If she drowns, it is not being drowned by circumcision.
Yeah.
She's being drowned because somebody
drowned her.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing, man. She had a 9mm pistol, and she knew how to use it.
And she fired it. There's evidence in the house that she fired it. She was an expert
she did,
of her life.
But she fired it out of ammunition. And again, I don't understand that. Because if you got X amount of bullets in there and you're firing through a window, but you had already called your friend to get help there, okay, let's say she didn't know that they were going to show up late, okay? She thinks that, like, law enforcement is going to be en route. Well, what do, man? You're in a cabin. You go back into a room and you shut the light off. You still got bullets. You wait for somebody to enter and kill them. But you don't go out the effing window. Am I right or wrong?
You are right or wrong, but no, you are right. But here's the thing, as a woman, I'm thinking, like, if I would put myself into this position, it's like fight or flight. I'm thinking like maybe if these people are trying to, there's obviously people are shooting at me.
Well, now
so
that's
I'm
questionable.
Out of it.
That's questionable.
On the roof. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, law enforcement said there was no tire tracks, there was no footmarks, there was no evidence that anybody was out there.
Yeah, that they as well said, and the family said it. Everything is like gravel. So even if it's like muddy or whatever, it's all gravel. You cannot even see it. And honestly, how much after Delphi should we trust law enforcement? I'm sorry, I have to say it.
I'm with you, but that
Absolutely.
was the whole point of
law enforcement for 1 second.
But that was the point of my video today. Because if everything stands as it has been said now, that she was found in the river, she drowned. Okay, well, what was the conclusion and what led to that? Why would she leave? You said fight or flight. Well, she could have stood there and fought because she knew law enforcement was coming and she had ammo. But to get rid of all of her ammo and then bail out a window and go run and drown, well, that seems like highly unlikely, to say the least. Very unlikely.
No, but she would go on the roof. She would try and run, but then somebody would have to catch up with her. Absolutely, absolutely. This woman who is trying to fight for her life, who is legitimately firing bullets out of the cabin, she's not going to go down without a fight.
Well, yeah, but was she going to go out there and take them on with like Wing Chun when they got bullets? I mean, you see where I'm at? Why would she try to run from the safest place that there is?
Because I mean, I don't know. You're right, Mike.
Well, thank you, but
absolutely
that's the point I make is like there's no reason for her to leave. She was fine where she was. She would have made it had she not left.
She would have. But honestly, if I'm in my house right now and I have like a small little like cabin kind of situation, somebody was like shooting at me at one point. I'm thinking, I'm so surrounded. I would try to make a run for it. Even if I'm in the wood, I would try to make a run for it. And probably I'm stupid for it.
If you had gun and ammo, you would still make a run for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You're right. Okay, Michael, thank you so much for taking my call. Like,
hey, no problem.
I have talked so many times about Delphi before.
Well, we hadn't talked in a couple years.
Everything is in Delphi, and what our thoughts on. You and I, most of the times, like, we always agreed.
Uh-huh.
And thank you so much for taking my call. I do.
Well, I appreciate you being here tonight, man. You have a fantastic Christmas, Nina, and you and your family.
Have a very happy holiday. I hope you will have a very Merry Christmas surrounded by the people that mean most to you. And that the dawning of the new year will bring you promises of brighter tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Right.
Night.
Thank you too. Bye.
That was Nina Armstrong, everyone. Hadn't talked to her in a while, actually. It's been a couple years. It actually goes back all the way to Daniel Nations was the last time that we had spoke. And that's going back. That's like 2 years ago now. Anyway, man, it's always good to hear from Nina. Let's see what we got here. Oh, well, hey, you know what? It's Christmas, man. It's Christmas, Katie. You know what? There's only one time, and it's now. Would you give her the number, please, Alaska? Would you please give her the number to just call on, man? You're welcome, Nina. Waiting for the phone to ring. Ring-a-ding-ling, ding-ding. Well, okay. And this is called Dead Air. And this is what I hate about doing lives. Because when I do live and nobody is actually asking a question or calling in, then that means I have to sit here and just talk. Well, what do I talk about? Well, let me just start repeating myself. May I? May I just repeat? Great. Let's start with the facts of the Delphi case again. Do you want to hear them again? Do you? When Santa Claus is coming, you want to hear the facts of the Delphi case again. All right, fuck it. Let me get the facts of the Delphi case. Be right back. I know, well, I don't get it, man. Oh, I know. And you would think people would want to call, man. Yeah, it's just the way people are. Yeah, they ain't like you and me. They're just not. Pages of facts of Delphi. Oh shit. Reading glasses. Man, I got the high power ones, man. So like they're so high power that like everything over there is blurry now. I can't see anything. Oh, geez. Now I can read this shit though. All right. Number 1. The Delphi double murder suspect is Thomas Jerome Bruce, is 54 years old and was born in October of 1965 in Michigan. Current age at time of this document, age 54 years old. Fact number 1. Fact number 2. It's cool. I got like 180 of them. Hang tight. Fact number 2. Thomas Jerome Bruce drove from the place of his residence, St. Louis, Missouri, to Delphi, Indiana, on Monday, February 13, 2017, and arrived at Monon High Bridge Trail just prior to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That's fact number 2. Fact number 3. Thomas Jerome Bruce drove to Monon High Bridge Trail that day to commit murder. Fact number 4. The Delphi murders, which occurred on 2/13/17, is the reverse date of the Evansdale, Iowa double murders, which occurred on 7/13/12. That's 2/13/17, 7/13/12. Fact number 4. Fact number 5. The fact is that Evansdale, Iowa, and Delphi, Indiana, have identical modus operandi, and that that added to the reversible dates are, for the most part, duplicate murders, and fit the modus operandi of Thomas Jerome Bruce. That is page number 1 of facts. Hang on, let me see if anybody questioned anything. Nope. Yeah, okay. 6. Thomas Jerome Bruce is a suspect in both sets of these murders. 7. Thomas Jerome Bruce was or had drank alcoholic beverages prior to each set of murders he committed in each set of Evansdale, Iowa, and Delphi, Indiana. 8. Thomas Jerome Bruce had on his person a handgun, likely a holster, which was for a Glock 43, 6, or 22 caliber handgun. 9. Thomas Jerome Bruce in the Delphi and perhaps the Evansdale, Iowa murders likely had with him field glasses as to spot victims at a distance while remaining anonymous and under stealth. Fact number 10. In Delphi, at the Monon High Bridge Trail, he walked directly to the Monon High Bridge south side, walking across Monon High Bridge, and was spotted there at approximately 12:30 p.m. on Monday the 13th of 2017 by a lady of whom lived on the south side of the bridge while walking her dogs by the south side of the bridge on the old railroad track trail, where the suspect, Thomas Jerome Bruce, was in the act of scouting the area or finding a hiding place to wait for victims to arrive. That's fact number 10. All right. Fact number 11. Thomas Jerome Bruce did not attack the lady who was walking her dogs because in order to do so, he would have had to know if people were in her house and if they expected her immediate return. Plus, she had dogs, and he would have had to do something concerning the dogs, or else other people may have seen the dogs being loose and investigated to see what happened to the lady who was walking her dogs. You see, that just makes perfect sense. Did anybody say anything at all? No? Ted Barris is here? Oh, fucking Ted Barris. Motherfucker doodle. Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Barris. Let's talk about old times. Let's talk about the days of Barris. How you doing, Ted? How's life treating you, man? Merry Christmas, bro. Merry Christmas. Never see you live anymore, man. I miss seeing you live all the time, man. I hope the holiday season's treating you a good one. Oh, shit. Sue Wright said something. Me? I think it's really neither. I think that they are acting in a very coordinated effort. I don't think that Carroll County is broke, that they can't move forward. I think that it is right now, it is a matter of that they know who did it. I mean, but, I've kind of proposed that to you, in the past, that they know who did it. So they don't really have anything to move forward on until at which time that they can speak to that person as a suspect, and then that's when charges will be filed. That will be in about a year from now. So, I mean, that is like the only answer that I really have to that. I don't think that it has anything to do with them being fragmented. I think that when his fingerprints came back as the unknown for Delphi, and then the FBI showed up and got his DNA, and then Carroll County sent their suspect DNA out to Quantico, Virginia, that created the match. They got the call back, aside from St. Louis, who said, we got a guy down here that committed first-degree murder, dressed like Bridge Guy, looks like a sketch, had never committed a crime before, had no DNA or fingerprints in the database. But at that time, because he had the pictures of the guy and went and showed him to the two people that had seen him and said, is this guy you seen? Yes, it is. Is this dude? Sure enough. Okay, fantastic. We know where he is. We know he's in jail. We know he can no longer commit at this time. He's not getting out of jail until which time that his current court case is complete. We can't talk to him, but at that time when we can, we will investigate him and file charges. Look forward to that in 1 year's time. Man, that was a good answer, man. That's a fucking great answer. Well, okay. Katie and Brian. We got to look up and find Brian. There's Brian. Oh, it just turned midnight in England. Okay, man. All right. So that's where Santa Claus is now, and he's working his way westward. You see, he's going west, man. But no, I don't think that there is anything going on with law enforcement as far as Delphi goes. I mean, this is my take on it. When he was arrested in St. Louis, and I think that most people understand what happened there. He committed first-degree murder. I mean, that was a horrific crime. And honestly, if that very same crime had happened in Delphi, we would want his ball sack in the same way that they do. Okay? Now, that is in a separate state. That is on a separate crime. Now, when we go down there for a murder case and we say we want to talk to him, his public defender, who represents him, is going to say, no, not under my watch. I'm not talking about him. You can't do that. Now, if you get a warrant, but you see, in order to get a warrant, then they have to put forward by the means that they want this. Now, that's what they're avoiding. They don't want people to know who it is, but they know that he is safe behind bars. Now, until they can go down and talk to him, and this is exactly when it will happen, right after he goes to court. When he goes to court down there, jury trial, October 2020, after that completes and he goes to that down and gets his Missouri DOC number, free game. Iowa can talk to him. Michigan can talk to him. State of Indiana can talk to him. And any other states, including probably California, can go talk to him. And that's when it's all going to come out. That's when it will all hit the big news. That's when he will be public enemy number one to the world. They'll say, holy shit, this guy was the Midwest Ted Bundy. He'd kill anybody. He was a brutal murderer. Oh, you know what? A very, very Merry Christmas to you, Sue. In fact, I hope that everybody out here does have a very Merry Christmas, because it happens tonight. And tomorrow morning, there will be presents under everybody's tree. Probably. Well, in answer to that, Katie, a polygraph is generally good with the right person doing the examining of it at 60 to 70%. And that is why they're inadmissible in court. Now, I don't think that there would be any reason at all to bring someone in to polygraph him. I mean, I think that the evidence is quite clear. They got his DNA. I'm pretty damn sure they got his fingerprints. They got his video. They got his two people that seen him. They have his audio as well. I mean, they got him. I mean, what can you say? I didn't do it. And they go, damn, dude, man, why would you say that? Now we just got to let you go. I mean, we have no proof. None. Zero. Yeah, we ain't got anything on you. Man, I guess you can just go home, just like that traffic pullover you had. Just go on about your way. No, that won't happen. They're not going to pull a polygraph in on that. Yeah, they have highly trained people, but again, if you look up the specifics on polygraph, they are good about 60 to 70% of the time, even with highly trained people. You know what? I took one. I did take a polygraph when I was an MP. I volunteered for it. In fact, man, I held the dummy down while a friend of mine ran over it. You know, it's kind of cool. But we had it was our platoon. So there's like 56, 57 people there. But they had to give each of us a polygraph and find out which ones were involved in the crime. And they did. But they was there to train in polygraph. And I think that was, man, I forget who in the hell it was that was training in. What are those people? Military. The higher-ups. Those people. The investigating people. But anyway, they know who did it. I can tell you right now, man. Sheriff Lesenby knows who did it. He knows full well who did it. So does the two people who seen him. They know who did it now. There's quite a few people out there who do know who did it. But it's not going to come out until at which time his current case is over. When it's over, they can investigate. In that meantime, they'll be turned away. This has already happened. Look back at Daniel Nations. Look at it. They went out there to talk. Oh, man. Yeah, crap on my hand. I'm sorry. Actually, I think it's chocolate. I got into the goodie bag. Anyway, man, Daniel Nations public defender says to them, yeah, you're not talking to him. Sorry. Later, dude. Different case, different state. Woo-up-de-woo. Have a nice one. And they came back, and what did they say to us? Well, we can neither, include nor exclude him as being a suspect at this time. So, well, you couldn't have did that before you left. So, since I was on the phone with Daniel Nations, he explained to me that his public defender turned them away without his consent because he wanted to talk to him, because he was clear and he wanted that pointed out. But they extradited him back to Indiana 1 week before the first year press conference, spoke with him, got his DNA, cleared him at the first year press conference, then handed me the biggest news of this entire case, that this person had never been caught committing a crime in his past. So that opened up new doors, man. It really did. But, and once again, I must reiterate the fact that they will not go down and talk to him until he is through with that court case at October of 2020. So you're probably looking at November to December of 2020, and that's about when it's going to happen. Now, they could wait because they're going to have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 different cases. Probably more than that. In a year's time, I'm sure that there's cases in California, probably multiple cases in California where they had DNA. Those will fall into play. And then it's going to run the gambit of time. Well, which one was committed first? Where does he go first? How long is that court case going to take? Then it goes to the next one and the next one. And you know what? We may not see him in Carroll County for 5 to 6 years. It may be 7 until he's actually convicted in Carroll County. He may not live that long, honestly. Merry Christmas. You know what? That is a good question, Sue. It probably was through her boyfriend, I would imagine. But I don't really know. I mean, the newspaper articles weren't very specific on such like that. So I don't really know. I don't know how that was done. Now, I know that she was up there working for her parents or grandparents, one or the other. Given her age, I would think parents' house. You know, that was their cabin that they was up there working on. So that was probably a way to make some extra money as well. Man, a lot of Merry Christmases. I appreciate the Merry Christmases. In fact, man, you know what? Geez, give me a minute, man. Let me go get a Merry Christmas video, just real super duper quick. I'll be fast with it. You'll see. It'll be like super duper fast. Wait, man, hold on. Man, I can't even go get a video that quick. Yeah, well, all right. But please take it from me and Woof too, because I mean he sends his holiday greetings in the same way that I do. You know, me and him were like that on such. So, you know, we do wish you all a very Merry Christmas. That could be. It could also be what do you call that when you're hurt at work? Like workman's compensation. I don't know if they do that for couple of years though, but I don't know the extent of any injuries that she had gotten. I mean, I heard automobile accident, and I mean that could, and I mean there could be any plausible way that she was making some money, but it's one of those things. If you're looking at a newspaper, they're not going to give you what you want. They're going to give you the specific details that media wants out. But it's just like if you ask law enforcement something about that. Oh, no. Or we can't answer that. Or, oh, that's part of our investigation. But they're never going to give you a direct answer. Yeah, Wolf is, man. I tell him that all day long. So, man, you know what, man? You're just like, you know, the most handsome bear ever living. Well, you got to. I mean, you got to keep your self-esteem, you know, raised. Hey, Incognito Society. Oh, hey, Incognito Society. Merry Christmas. A very Merry Christmas. Yeah, I've been handing out Merry Christmases like all evening. So a very Merry Christmas, Incognito Society. You know, I hope that, you know, it treats you and your family very well. So let's see. Well, I could get back to facts, but, you know, I got more facts, though. I mean, man, once I get them down, is everybody cool with the book? I mean, would anybody buy a book? Would anybody want me to write a book about what I know? Because mind you, that when I release this book, it is going to be speaking of the murders before that shit is even released by law enforcement. Which means that the book will do very poorly until at which time he's named as that person. Then everybody's going to be like, oh my God, this is the greatest criminal profile in the history of mankind. And I'll be like, yeah, I've been on that for 2 years. You know what? I thought I wrote to you, Sue. I thought I did. I thought I had sent you something the other day, but it was on something that you had attached to me. But I will reach you after the show tonight. Anyway, because Icons, who is like the law guy, I mean, like literally the man of law, he told me that all of my deductions would be foolproof as intellectual property and could not be touched without my say via common law. And I'm like, That works for me. As long as I get my due reward for 4 years of work done, there it is. Because then if somebody's writing a book, then I could say, well, you're using my forehand deductions, which wouldn't amount to much because, I mean, I would not stop somebody from writing a book using my deductions, you know, but I would say at least 1%'s got to go to me, at least 8%, you know, be it a small percent. Because again, man, I'm behind law enforcement, but law enforcement can't come out and say this shit. Well, like I say, I will write it new, and you know, I'll put like, you know, ATT and Sue or something like that. Then that way you'll know. Okay, so if there's, hang on, man, let me go back to this route here. I'll throw a number up. That always helps, man. You know, people call in when you give a number. If you don't, though. Oh, hey. Thank you, Sterling Gypsy. You're the bomb, you know. And Merry Christmas. And the thing is I got these facts, but, and I told Icons, I can't write, man. I ain't no like Steven Spielberg. Not that I'm even like, you know, saying it's like in an area of Steven Spielberg where his is fictional. This is real. But I can't really sit and write out like a real dialogue of the way that, you know, and it would have to be after, well, some parts of it. I mean, I could lay out everything aside of the crime itself, the crimes themselves. But I don't know that I would want to put anything regarding the crimes in a book because that's not my level. That's just, you know, that's more for like the curiosity seekers, which I am not, but I am profoundly about deduction. Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Alaska Blue. You rock. So, any questions of sorts, man? Chris G, how you doing? Thumbs up all over that, man. On the trail, Kim, do you have a YouTube channel called On the Trail, Kim? Because if you do, that would be just cool shit. I think that would be awesome as get out. 1 second. Merry Christmas. Hello. Hey, how are you? Oh, thank you very much. Okay, hey, would it be okay to put you on live? Okay, hang on. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, yes. I was wondering, are there ways to find information, like if, let's say, I'm really interested in Delphi or some of the other cases around Indiana or even elsewhere. What is the best way to start digging into the information, to looking, to kind of be like just a wannabe sleuth or something? I mean, what do you do?
You know what? And I'm glad you asked this, man. I really am. And I appreciate the living crap out of this question. Okay.
Yes.
This is what I tell people to do. Because many times when a person reaches me, they will have like a Facebook theory. They will have something and they'll say, this makes no sense. And I said, yeah, that's because you're reading it right off of Facebook. Now, if no, what's happened in 3 years is because when it first happened, man, when this crime first occurred, we watched every press conference numerous times, every single one that came out. Every law enforcement interview that came out. We did law enforcement interviews. We went to the press conferences with the briefings. But originally, like right after it came out, That's when you had the FBI, the state of Indiana, local law enforcement. They were given more of the specifics. They had the coroner. When they got back from the coroner, I mean, it all fell into. There's a word there where it all corresponded like over time, because from what we knew originally to what we know 3 years later is a big giant jump. Okay. So if you start with all of the press conferences, like when they came out with the sketch, when they came out with his pictures, when they came out with the audio, in each of those they're speaking, law enforcement is. But listen to what it is that they're saying, and especially at the press conferences, because once you watch all those and you watch them numerous times, things start to stick, man. And I'll put it to you in a different way. If you take the conscious mind, the full thinking mind, what we're sitting here and we're thinking with is less than 1% of our overall thinking mind. Our subconscious holds all of that material, because otherwise, if I'm looking at one fact, I would never have another fact in my mind. It's all held in the back of our brains. You see where I'm at? So the more information that you can pump into your brain, the more your brain starts like drawing lines, making connections, and it starts to reveal itself in a bigger way. So I always say, watch the press conferences, every single one, forward, backward. The family, a lot of people put stuff on family, but the family don't know the case. There are some specific things like time of arrival, stuff like that you could look for. But it's the more that you look at what's being said, what has been said, the facts, the circumstances, the criteria, the evidence. Once you know all that forward and backward, then you're right where I am.
Well, isn't the FBI kind of coaching Delphi, you think? I
believe more than that. I think that they was the reason behind the New Direction briefing. That's why it was named the New Direction, because what they did was they handed it out. Old information, like, oh, we believe he's 18 to 40, lived in Delphi, worked in the area. Here's a generic sketch. We think he might look like this. Don't disregard that old one that looks like Thomas Bruce. Don't look at that crap. But they started handing out generic information for the reason of they already knew who did it. They already knew he was behind bars. They already knew that they was going to extradite him to Indiana for court. So he was no threat to anybody, and they could wait that time out. Now, if anybody called any information in on this New Direction, unless it was something that was deemed absolutely necessary to go investigate, regarding a differing crime, if it was regarding the Delphi murders, it was deemed non-investigatable. That way they killed the 46,000 telephone calls that they had to go investigate. You see where I'm at?
Yeah, I always thought they were blowing smoke.
They did. They really did.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, that was it?
What? Oh, well, too, I'm wondering though, do you actually call the police and talk to them, or do you talk, or what are some other methods of investigation do you use?
Well, one, I do call police. I have called Sheriff Lesenby and did an interview. I did, I think, 3 different interviews with Kim Riley. And you can talk to him, but now say you called Carroll County law enforcement and said, I'd like to talk to the sheriff. Well, he ain't in right now. Would you like to leave a voicemail? No. Could you tell me a time that he would be in? You see, because what you want to do is you want to catch when he's there, because they'll transfer you right to his desk.
Right. It's so dead. Yeah.
So don't leave an email. Just say, no, if you could just give me a general time when he'd be there so I can speak with him. You see, because they could say, well, you could leave you could leave a voice message and he could call you back. No, I don't really want to do that. Because you want that set up at a time when you're free to set and ask the questions. Already have the questions ready. But when you reach him, then go through those questions, kind of get through them, man, because don't allow too much thought because, well, you can. Because if you allow them to sit there and think, you can deliberately see what it is they're trying to avoid answering. And that gives you reason to know that that's something important to them.
Right.
You see where I'm at?
Right. Yeah, I actually have a really good family friend that is a police officer, and he's kind of talked to me and, generally about things like that. So I found that very interesting.
I came from a law enforcement family.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother / uncle, I know that sounds incestuous, but it ain't. I was actually kind of, my guardians were my grandparents, and he was really my uncle, but being raised by the same parents, you see where I'm at. Right, but anyway, he was the head detective in Howard County through the 80s, and then got the chief of police job there in Monticello before he retired. Then I became an MP, but at the same time as I was an MP, that's when I really began my dislike of law enforcement. I mean, I was really starting to see where the heart of it lied, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I have a good friend that her soon-to-be ex is a cop, and she's had to move out of the state, and he's gotten away with all kinds of stuff, even threatening the police with a gun, and they didn't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he went to court, but I think they gave him he has to wear an anklet for a year.
Wow. Yeah. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Man, usually if you pull a gun on a cop, they just kill you,
Yeah. Well, it was the same cop who he worked with.
Yeah.
So, he was, anyway, it's a long story, but very sad, and she has had to move out of state, and she's terrified. So,
you know what? I mean, I can see that, and the same applied, and I don't know how long you've watched my channel, but if I go back to the lady that was walking her dogs that had spotted the suspect there in Delphi.
Right.
Well, she was very slow in coming forward with that. But it was after they released that picture, she's like, man, that's that guy I spoke to right there. That's him. So that's when she went to him. But she said, I don't want my name out there because he knows exactly where I live.
Right.
And, if you don't know who he is, he could show up and kill me for giving details on the sketch. Well, she ended up selling that place for that reason. But she knows now that he's in jail.
Right.
The
thing I heard when I started listening to Delphi, listening to you and a couple others, first thing I heard was there was a lady with dogs that lived right by the park.
Yep.
I mean, that's one of the biggest thing, and then the guy in the flannel shirt.
Yep. Those were the two.
Yeah. So it's pretty scary for her, and I bet she's still locking her door and pulling her shades down.
I would be if I was her, just for the in case.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, do you think 2020 will be the year?
You know what? I kind of look at it like this. He's got to go to jury trial in October. Now, I don't know that is sentencing immediately, like they come back guilty and they say life behind bars, because they could come back and say guilty, and then they set sentencing for the following month. You see where I'm at?
Right.
Now, whenever they sentence him, now that's when he goes off to RDC. That's what we call it in Indiana, Regional Diagnostic Center. That's where you go before you go to prison. Now, when you get to RDC, that's when they're like, well, what prison would you like to go to? And I'm like, well, hell, man, I'd like to go over next door where Tyson was at. Shit, man, why not? They got good classes there. All right. You know what? They came to me. And it was like, oh, God, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning, handed me my papers saying that I was okay to go. That's where I was headed off to. And I was heading out at like 5 o'clock that morning. They came and they got us all and they got us ready for the bus. And the guy says, where are you going to? And I'm like, Indiana Youth. Why didn't they walk you over there? I don't know. I have no idea why not. I said, well, you can't be going there. They would have just walked you over. You're right next door there. Well, that's what they told me. Well, straight up, man, they put me on the bus and took me to Westville.
Oh.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter, man, what it is you say or where you want to go or where they okay you for 2 hours before. It's all a crapshoot. It's wherever they're going to send you. You see where I'm at?
That's what I thought when you said they asked you. I was like, really? They really?
Yeah.
You have a choice?
They do within the confines of the crime that you committed. Say, as an example, if you went in and it was first-degree armed robbery and you just murdered like 5 people, they're not going to send you to some low-security prison. You see where I'm at? Probably send you to like Michigan City, Pendleton, some shit like that. Maybe Westville. Me, first time, drug offense, marijuana. I was in possession of 30-plus grams. I went to Westville, people. That ain't no lie, man. Somebody owes me for that shit. They do. I ain't just making that up, man. Anyway, let me get back to your original question here real quick. Say that you do, and you go back through. Now, what you do is you put in Delphi murders, press conferences, but put in dates, okay? Put in like February 2017 press conference. Okay, that's going to pull the original ones up, like right there at law enforcement. That's going to have the FBI. Then go to March of 7, and you can follow it through by date like that, by month, and that's going to pull up the ones you want to watch. Watch them in an order, and anything that is like misleading, kind of write that down as to where that was. That way, if you ever got to come back to it, if it isn't answered in later ones, then you can go back to that, maybe call, maybe question them. But once you know all the facts, the circumstances, the evidence, the way it's laid out, and this is kind of important, man, and this is something that I have recently picked up upon. Mindfulness. Mindfulness, man. It's the same as meditation. It's clearing your mind. When you clear your mind, when you clear your mind of thought, like for 10 minutes a day in meditation, it allows your subconscious to free up. And what happens is when you free your mind up like that, is that's when it works its best. And when you do that at like 10 minutes to a half hour, and normally I will do it for about 20, 25 minutes a day, should be best at about, 30, maybe plus minutes a day. But when you do that, man, it allows your mind to kind of open up. And it's like through the days at those times when you'll be like, hey, you know what? I never did think about that before. It creates those connections that you didn't have before.
Yeah, I agree. I do that same thing, and it helps me not to react emotionally.
Yeah.
And to sit back and actually think about it instead of just emotionally reacting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like I would advise looking over everything like that, just kind of knowing the facts and all, and maybe a little bit of mindfulness, but it's just maybe an added help, if any, but it does help. And it's been 3 years of looking this case over, specifically this case for the most part. And that is why I know all the details of the case. I mean, the only people that know this case better than me are local law enforcement that are working this case and the FBI that are working this case, because they know the specifics. They got the DNA, the fingerprints, they got the hands-on, whereas I'm on the outside just deducing it. I'm just on the outside looking at it saying, this is how it fits. But they're looking at that, but they have the grander evidence. You see where I'm at?
Right. I agree. Yeah, that's why I listen to you, because you're very thorough and the facts seem to match up and make logical sense to me.
Well,
and
thank you.
I still, it just seems though like every day I learn something new, even if it's a tiny, tiny bit about this case.
You know what? Yeah, and that's good, because it's an everyday thing. Now, off the go, Greeno was here. But Greeno was kind of staying here for a while, because I think at that time he had just got back. He didn't have anywhere to go. So I was like, hey, dude, man, you know what, man, we're kind of doing videos on this case, man, just hang out. And I think for the first 3 or 4 months we was here. And it was all we talked about. Now, he would have to leave for a time because I rent here. You see where I'm at? So,
Right.
so I couldn't afford for him to be living here. So he'd have to take off. He'd go over to, well, to someone else's house. I mean, I'll put it like that. I don't want to hand out his personal information, you know, but I mean, he would go over to somebody else's house for like, you know, a couple of weeks, a month, you know, and then come back and we'd start again. Now, when he was here, it was 24/7 looking over press conferences. It was 24/7 discussing the case. It was 24/7 talking about the circumstances and the criteria. It was calling people. It was fact checking, you know, and a lot went into that. And over 3 years, man, you really began to know a case. So much so that when Thomas Bruce was a person of interest, when I seen that and I started looking into him, he was like any other person of interest. Like, oh, the media made him a person of interest. Woo, 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 woo. That's what they, same thing they did with Daniel Nations. But the more I started going over the criteria, the more I started going over the circumstances, the more I started looking back into his life. And that's another part of your question. Let me get to that in a minute. Then the more I started realizing that there wasn't anything that couldn't be checked off. You know, this guy did fit the model. He did fit the mold. He didn't have blue eyes. You know, this guy's voice did sound like that. He had never committed a crime, nor did he have DNA or fingerprints on file. You know, everything fit a pattern and everything fit. He didn't have a job. He was free to travel. You know, everything fit a pattern, right down to the reverse date of Evansdale, the modus operandi. Everything fit exactly what he was up to and who he was. So that's why he stood out initially as a person of interest, but it's only snowballed. It's only gotten bigger since a year ago. It's gotten way bigger.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And Greeno has good things to say about you.
When?
When I listened to him.
When did he say
anything bad about you?
When did he say something good about me?
He was talking about that y'all have different opinions, but everybody does, and that's okay. And that he considered you close.
I see. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I didn't mean to bring up something.
No. You didn't at all. It ain't like that. You know Greeno, man. Me and Greeno, man, we're like family and shit.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's what he said.
Okay.
That's what he says. Yeah.
But I do want to say that him and I have discussed this in the past, and he knows that I have no hard feelings at all, zero. Right. And he is totally under that understanding, and I don't know why he would make mention of him having different. I mean, look, he isn't giving a person of interest, so why would he bring up a difference of opinion?
No, it wasn't bad. It had to do, you don't understand the full context of the conversation. We were talking about everybody having different opinions, and he didn't want any ugliness in the chat.
Oh, no, nobody does.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it came around. He goes, like, for example, he goes, I'm really, really close with, you know, you and he goes, you know, we have a different opinion, but that's okay. So that's how it came up. The context was not just like out of the blue he brought you up. It had to do with what was going on at that moment.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Now, I think in the original context here, you had said, by what method do I look people up?
Yes.
Now, there are various websites online, and you can find them anywhere. And you know what? I don't even know the names of them right off the top of my head, man. They're kind of generic to an extent. But say I want to look up, find any person's address, okay? Right?
Okay.
Well, it's going to pull up a website, and it's going to say, what information do you need to know? And you got to sit there and hit that button. Yeah, I want all this social media shit. Yeah, I want that too. Do you want his employment? Yeah, you bet. And what they do is they basically make you sit there for about 15 to 20 minutes hitting that button, thinking you're going to get all that, right? Now, at the end, they're going to give you X amount. They're going to say, well, here's all of his email addresses, personal, that he's ever had. And here's some of his addresses. Now, you can find out the rest by sending us $20, right?
Right.
But now you can go to another one and do the identical same thing you did with that one, but it's going to give you other information aside what the other one gave you. Now, if you go through about 8 or 10 of them, you're going to have the pretty big spiel about everything about him.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's
because I'm just doing one.
It's very time consuming.
Yeah.
But it will give you the full range of things, man. Like, his jobs, his employment, his residence, in some cases where they had like a vehicle, family, his social media pages, like all of them, basically, where like, it will tell you, give you the address to go to, and then you can look further into it. There's a lot of avenues, man. Now, a person that's on here, and I will call her Miss Cavalier. She was a big help with that. She's the one that had found the Jeep Cherokee. But now, and as I say, when that go back, she thought that was in Jefferson County. Okay.
Right.
But that's where he was arrested for, the Catholic supply store. But in 2012, at that time, he was living in St. Louis County. So, we're going through those tax records in the same way. But I can lay that factually to you. He did own that car. He was in that car that day.
Okay. You there?
Yes. Yeah, I'm still here.
I live in the country, and sometimes it will drop a call for no reason.
Yeah.
I'll be talking to stuff. Well, good. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all the information.
Well, I'm happy that you called, man, and I hope that you have a Merry Christmas.
You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, man. Good evening.
Okay.
All right, man. Another great call. I love great calls. I really do. Okay. Let me see. No. If you're talking about Abby, she didn't. The only one that had the phone was Libby, and that was the only one that was found. In fact, and I don't want to touch upon that. I really don't. But now my niece went and seen the viewing with my sister because she was friends with Abby. But she was very upset about the fact that something had happened to Abby, because she just didn't feel that was right. And I'm positive she didn't think it was right that it happened to Libby. But what I'm saying is she had knew Abby, and it just seemed very, because Abby wasn't very big. I mean, you see where I'm at, and it just hit her really hard, my niece. Oh, he does have a person of interest? Really? That's been unrelated to me. I hope it ain't Mark Redwine. Yeah, I kid though. I kid, man. I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. Seriously, I am, because I know it ain't Mark Redwine. I know that he wouldn't say it was Mark Redwine. Usually they don't call a search like what? Hello? Hey, man, what's going on, dude? You're live. You know that, right?
It's Dev Lance. I got a couple of questions I want to shoot at you, man.
Go on with it.
The night that they called that search off, who was the main one behind calling that search, or do you know?
Calling for it?
Calling it off.
That would be, well, now you got to kind of like, Sheriff Lesenby called it off, all right, but it wasn't him alone. Now, let me give the specifics. They had searched the trail. All right. They knew from the family that the two girls knew that area around there, that they could have easily got to County Road 200 or Highway 25 or County Road 300 without issue. So after they searched the trail, then they started like looking through private property that was around the trail. Well, that was only to the south side because everything on the north side was on the north side of County Road 300 was a field. So they started searching. Damn it, man. I just looked that name up last night. Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave that blank. It's not Maxwell, but it's the ones that live right across the street there. They started looking through their property. They asked Ronald Logan if they could look through his property. Now, mind you, it was already nighttime. And they had asked all the people around there if they could search a property. Now, when they got down there, heading on the north side of the bridge over toward Ronald Logan's, they seen that big ravine, and they knew on the other side was Ronald Logan's horse field. And they said, like, yeah, man, look, they wasn't going to walk up through here. You know, they was only here for an hour. There's no reason they'd head out that way. You see where I'm at? So I think it became pretty clear because he said, and other people said, they're not at the trail. They don't appear to be here. So there doesn't seem to be any signs of foul play. So why don't we call the search off until morning, which is what they did. Now, at that time, he said, if they are lost, the biggest thing that they would have to concern themselves with would be the environment, because it was going to get cold that night. But they had a bunch of people out there. Now, if the girls were lost and were in that area, I mean, the search team would have found them because they could have responded to the search team. You see where I'm at?
Yeah.
And again, like two girls, Mears, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I kept wanting to say Maxwell or McLean or some crap like that. Thank you, Incognito. So, the fact is, they would have been found that night, I believe, if they continued searching. But the simple fact is that two girls don't get murdered like that in Carroll County. Not right there. That was unknown, uncalled for. And I'm kind of quoting Sheriff Lesenby when he says, this is something that we've never dealt with.
Well, I understand that, Mike, but, couldn't they have launched a drone or something, but heat sinking or something with flare? I mean, the Sheriff's Department, and I know they got all that dare money and all that good stuff. I mean, sure to God, they can afford a drone to throw out a little bit of flare technology to it.
Well, again, though, it comes down to the fact of what was they looking at. I think that, and I'm putting myself in Sheriff Lesenby's shoes. There's no signs of foul play, and they're not here where they're supposed to be. Now, to me, that would say that these two girls may have ran away. I'm sure the family said they wouldn't have ran away, but they know this area. One of the girls lived on the south side of the bridge up that county road going back to 200. I want to point that out. I ain't saying which or why, but one of them did. They knew that area. Now, he knew that they knew that area. He knew that they didn't run away. There was no signs of foul play. So it would have had to have been either A, they were abducted and taken from that area, but they probably wasn't lost in that area. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but Mike, look, if someone didn't know the whole scenario like you know it, like you've explained it to us, someone is just coming fresh into this case and observing it and not knowing all the circumstances.
Yeah.
And seeing how that played out and how the one girl, laid there, they found her that night, they could have probably saved her.
Yeah.
Someone didn't know all these circumstances, he would look at it like there's a dirty bum in the wood pile somewhere,
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I've seen the whole situation, and I'm telling you, man, since this has happened, they've got a lot of money that's come in the county. Now, I ain't saying that the two are associated.
Right.
No, because I don't want to, I don't even want to think that. But it is, a big coincidence that they have got a lot of funding coming in now. And they could afford to go out here and throw these billboards up, and spend all that money, And I ain't saying that money should go to hire extra detectives, but me and you both know that, that they got the guy down in St. Louis and all that, but there's always that 1% chance, that 1% chance. You just don't know. I'm like you. I'm 99% sure that it's him, down in St. Louis.
I say 100, but that's me.
Yeah, but you never know. He could have had an accomplice. We just don't know.
Well, if he had an accomplice, that accomplice would have been spotted, and CSI would have known of it.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah. It's just, man, God, not knowing anything, and it just the frustration.
Yeah, well, that was exactly it, because when I found out was the night when they found the bodies. And that's when I read about it. That's when I went down and told my friend, because there was a girl named Liberty and her friend who was the same age as Liberty, their daughter, she had a friend named Liberty, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't one of the same. So when I asked them about that, they're like, no, she was just talking to her on the phone a couple hours ago. I'm like, okay, cool. Which I say cool, but at the same time, there was still a loss of life. You see where I'm at? So it comes down to the fact of 2 girls were missing. 2 girls were missing. There was no signs of foul play. There was nobody that seen them leaving. And it was a complete mystery. And that's what Sheriff Lesenby says. We didn't know how to deal with this because we never had. There was no signs of foul play. We searched the creek. We did everything that we felt reasonably that we could do. But the 2 girls were missing, and we was going to pick it up the next day. Now, he was also advised by others, because he said it wasn't just him. He said that everybody else was on the same angle, that, hey, look, man, we searched all of this. We've even searched some private property. They don't appear to be right here. Let's pick this search up in the morning, and let's look around and see what else we can find. I would have been behind that in the same way that Sheriff Lesenby was, because it don't happen like that. And it did, but that was the shock. That was the shock of it. It really did happen. Now, mind you, the FBI was already on top of that, because they had an agent there the following morning. That agent was already there, because they knew that in all likelihood, this is the reverse date of Evansdale. Guess what? It's exact MO. It's the exact same way. 2 girls abducted by a creek, at a trail, off a highway, reverse date. This is like unheard of, man. This is high probability it could be the same guy. Well, if there are 2 dead bodies, maybe we can get DNA, because in Evansdale, it was like 6 or 7 months after the bodies were deteriorated. There was no way to get DNA. In this case, there was.
And see,
regretfully, there was, but they got DNA.
Sorry, Mike. See, there's another thing that missed me on it. The FBI was there, and they were already suspecting that, and they already had their eyes on it. Why couldn't they have related that to Sheriff Lazenby and the Indiana State Police, and then put a drone in the air or a chopper?
They did.
That miscommunication.
Well, you got to understand it when they found out. Now, I mean, understand that it's kind of like this. You got a team, a search party, man, out there, and they're looking. All right. Well, they don't find anything. Now, the FBI hears about this, and they send an agent. Well, by the time that agent gets there, and they're like, hey, look, man, we kind of got this angle that we're looking at, because there's 2 missing girls, as you know, that happened here. Well, the same applied in Evansdale, and I'm sure that was like one of the first times that Carroll County had heard of Evansdale, being from Iowa, but that was probably related to them, and they picked the search up the next morning. The girls were found by about noon. Now, yeah, they could have, but the thing is, I mean, it's like when the FBI found out. Now, the FBI ain't going to call out and say, we think they're right there, because they don't know that they're right there. In Evansdale, they was taken 26 miles to the northeast.
How big is that? You know, the layout of that little area. You know, it's the spread as far as diameter and width and everything like that. How big is that spread right there of that little area?
The trail?
Yeah.
You could take 5 people and start at Freedom Bridge and have that entire area, the entire trail covered in 16 minutes.
Now, what about the area where they were at? The girls were found.
Well, that's different.
Now I pulled it up online on the computer, and I downloaded the schematic of the area and everything, the topography and everything, and trying to get my mind's eye of how, you know, where they were at and how it all laid out and everything. And, you know, and it was just, wow, God almighty, just unfortunate. Is the only way you could say it is unfortunate. And it makes you angry to think, to know that poor child sat out there, you know, that night, you know, knowing after the fact, and it upsets you.
Well, you know, see, I doubt that it was like that. I do. And again, man, this is like inner thoughts, and yeah. But understand, I think that there was an amount of head trauma, because look, otherwise she could have hollered to the search party.
Well, we don't know what all he done to that girl either, because they ain't released nothing.
Well, what I'm saying is if he had cut her throat, she would have died rather quickly.
Yeah.
And not only that, because she would have been bleeding out overnight, she still would have had energy to get up and move. But not being able to respond to a search party that was right there by voice or movement or anything, probably to me says that there was a serious amount of head trauma. And that was the due cause over time of death.
Man, I tell you, I don't know. Do you know if they had an Amber Alert out on them kids that night?
You know what? I don't think so. But I say that for a reason, because my friends that live down here, and I was down at their house that night. I went down every single night at 10:30 and left at 11:30, like a schedule. Now, I was down there on the 13th, and they, you know what? They could have been watching a movie too, though. But even if they weren't, they would have seen at some point an Amber Alert. But when I went down on the night of the 14th, and that would have been at probably pushing 12 midnight, because I got back about 11:30, and then I looked it over after I seen it, and then I followed it through to find out exactly where it was. And then once I started putting that all together, I went down to make sure it wasn't her friend Liberty, for one. But two, when I told them about it, they was clueless. They had no idea. And hell, we only live like a stone's throw away from Delphi. Again, if I was to start walking westwardly right now, within 3 minutes, I would have to cross the Wildcat. But as soon as I walked across the Wildcat, I'd be in Carroll County. Carroll County's right there. You know, it's just right there. It actually borders the outside of the property I'm on.
I don't know. For some reason or another, you know, I was thinking, you know, and at work at night that seeing something about that, you know, on Facebook or something, you know.
Yeah.
I may be wrong, you know. It could have been, you know, way after the fact I saw something. I don't know. But that's the reason I asked. You know, I mean, it could have garnered more volunteers is where I was going with that.
Well, you know, again, they had a big search party. Now, I don't know the extent of the search. I know it happened like this, man, that law enforcement arrived at about 5, or were called at around 5:30. A search was conducted. That went until midnight. So let's say they started searching at 6 p.m. Well, that's 6 hours of searching. 6 hours of searching that trail, that entire trail system, because it starts at Freedom Bridge and it ends at Monon High Bridge. And it only goes from County Road 300 down to Deer Creek. You put one person on the trail, 2 people on your left, and 2 people spaced out on your right. You start at Freedom Bridge and you walk that down to Monon High Bridge. There it is. That trail's been searched. Then they started searching on private property. So they had to ask the Mears. They asked the Webbers. the other lady that was walking her dogs. They had to ask them. And, of course, Ronald Logan. Well, when they asked Ronald Logan said, sure, you can search my property. I don't care. But at that time, and again, it's kind of one of those things. When you're on the Mears property and you're searching it, you get to that big giant ravine. Now, I'm telling you, if you was looking at that ravine, if you was standing on one side and you said, okay, you had two girls that was going to be out here for an hour and they would have to go through this big ass ravine to get to the other side where there's a fence and a horse field, why would they do that? I mean, that would be your question. Well, they wouldn't do that. Not if they was out hiking. I mean, they wouldn't go do that. So that, I think that was part of the holdup on continuing forward there. But they did search the other sides. Now, the next morning, they did go forward on that. Next morning, they did have helicopters and drones. They had men in the river, and Deer Creek. So it was an extensive search, but it had to be held up overnight. And again, I hold very true to Sheriff Lesenby's words. I think that what he and the rest of them did, while I can't say it's exactly what should have been done after the fact, but looking at it at that time, yeah, because it was what was reasonable. It don't happen in Indiana. We didn't feel that they was laying out there dead. Why would we? That don't happen here. We've never seen that. So why think now? You see where I'm at? It would be more likely to assume that somebody had abducted him and took him from the trail rather than killed him at the trail over on somebody's personal property.
Yeah. Now, on a different tangent, do you think when this finally does go to trial, that it will be open to the public or they'll close it?
No, you know what? They very well may have him, especially in Carroll County, and it's because of the subject matter. They don't want anything spread out about locals. And I think that really probably deep down, as much as I would regret that fact, at least in Carroll County. I mean, but they wouldn't try it in Carroll County. They'd probably take that to Indianapolis, I would believe, or Fort Wayne, somewhere away where like nobody's heard of the case, as far as registered voters. But I think that if they did take that to court and he pled not guilty, I don't know how. I mean, they got him dead to right on that, and he knows it. Best thing that he could do is say, look, I'll sit down and I'll tell you every specific detail, exactly what happened. I'll plead out with the guilty. Give me life without parole. You got a deal.
He'll still have to go in front of the judge and allocute.
He'll have to go in front of a judge, but he's not going. But he would already have everything wrote out and everything would be done. I'm just here to plead guilty to it. And you can sentence me. That's in my plea agreement. Life without parole. Here you go. That way it isn't set in court and talked about, because this case involves two minors.
The reason I say that, not only that, is that there'll be damn many people wanting to get at him.
Yeah, man, dude. Okay, when he goes to his initial arraignment in Carroll County, they will have the National Guard there. I mean, they will have Al Jazeera. They'll have RT. They'll have unheard of news sources. The entire world will be parked on that Carroll County courthouse. And that is like a block and a half up from Main Street from the jail. And when they take him to court, they will probably have the National Guard lined up to protect him. Now, I say that for this reason. When Amber Green was brought to Carroll County, that was at, I'm throwing the year, I'm going to say it was 1869. They had to transfer him to Cass County for his own protection. Now, when they got him to Cass County, that's when the governor put the National Guard up around Cass County Jail in 1869. Now, you think they won't do that today? Dude, they're going to have mass protection. They'll have SWAT team there. I'll guarantee you that. They're going to have some mega protection. Hell, they might have a tunnel from the jail to the courthouse. It's hard to say how they're going to handle that. But look, man, back in 1869, 250 men en masse rode up on horseback, said, we want Amber Green. Sheriff said, you ain't getting him. He said, we'll break him out. And they said, you just go about your business. They broke him out and went and hung his ass.
You know, I'm surprised they ain't Epstein his ass yet.
Well, I think he's protected. He's under suicide watch, man. They don't even allow him a razor. I don't think they give him a writing instrument except under supervision. He could hurt himself with it.
You know, Epstein was too.
No, he was. They took him off of suicide protection just prior to his suicide.
It goes to show you that if the Clintons want you gone, you're gone.
Yeah, the Clintons. Hey, man, that's a dynasty. It's over.
You know, between you and me, I think that old boy was Mossad. And he ain't even dead. They got him over there in Israel right now, and he's drinking mixed drinks or something.
Yeah, he probably got him back on his island, man. Keeping it business as usual for the bigwigs, man. For the sickos.
Look, nothing like him, man. Those photos, and they was carting him out of there after he's dead. Have you seen them yet?
The who?
Of Epstein, when they carted him out of there when he died?
No.
Oh, dude, it didn't look nothing like him.
It probably wasn't him.
That's what I said. It wasn't, he's alive. I don't think the guy's dead.
Seems reasonable. I don't think that they would. I don't think that they would kill him. He was too big of a piece of their puzzle for them to kill him. They could make it look like he had killed himself. And oh, hey, coroner, here's $500,000. He's dead, right? Oh, shit, man, I don't see no pulse. Thank you. Yeah, let's cremate. You know, let's do it like that so there's no evidence. And they hand somebody a bag of ashes. Well, here's what's remaining of him. Meanwhile, he's over on his island conducting business as usual. Look, because I asked this about Epstein. If the federal government goes in and arrests him, and then he ends up dead under mysterious circumstances, why ain't the federal government in there grabbing every one of those guards, everybody who was watching him, the psychiatrist, and, you know, why don't they have all those people up on trial saying, yeah, you guys need to explain this shit, or you know what, you're going to be getting the same shit his ass was, because this is uncalled for, man. This is a federal investigation, and guess what? You just fucked it.
You know what? They've got it set now. I mean, a lot of people don't realize this. They've got it set where they can come in and grab you and hold you indefinitely and don't have to tell your family a thing and don't have to charge you or nothing. All they got to do is they say that they suspect you of terrorism.
Yep.
And that's it. Katie bars the door.
Yeah. Suspected of terrorism.
A lot of folks don't realize that the federal government can do that. And
the federal government can do anything, damn near. They can't do it to me.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta. I don't know, man. It's just that, you know, our freedoms are being took from us on a day by day basis, and it just, I don't know.
Well, they've been gone. They've been gone forever, man. We don't have no freedoms.
I wish they'd get Rich guy, and well, you know what I'm talking about. I wish they'd get him and just have a public hanging with his ass.
Yeah, dude, I'd be the guy kicking him off of the bridge.
You know, if we go back to that, Mike, you know, it would more or less, you know, be a deterrent. You know, because you know there ain't nothing more violent than seeing something like that happen. You know. Well,
if we go back cowboy and Indian days, and that is the way that it was done. If you was sentenced and the sentence was death, the judge would say, "Okay, I hereby sentence you to be hung by your neck until you are no longer breathing tomorrow at noon. Have a nice day." And that's how it was. They took you out front the next day. It was a public hanging. You know, the public could sure enough show up and watch you hang. And there it was. And that was the deterrent. That was the deterrent. Today, it's like, electric chair. Oh, dear God, we don't want to do that to another human being. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? No, you pull that electric chair out front and you watch, you have everybody that wants to see him sizzle. You watch him fry that next day. You watch how crime goes down. You watch how crime changes, because that's what would happen.
It's like that rapist and murderer they got down there in Texas. That dude snuck in this little girl's house, 12-year-old, raped, sodomized that child, and beat her unconscious. He murdered 2 other women and raped them. And Kim Kardashian is down there trying to get this guy free.
God. Right.
I don't understand it. And you got a bunch of bleeding hearts that's hollering, oh, Lord, it ain't right to hold him. It ain't right to hold him. One of the cases had a little bit of question to it, you know, out of the 5 or 6 rapes and murders that this guy had done, you know. But they want him freed on all of it, Mike.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. I don't get it. A 12-year-old child, scarred for life, man, broke in her house in the middle of the night and done it to her.
Yeah.
And these fools are like, oh no, he can let him go. He's reformed.
You know what? I'm reading a book. Wish I could remember the name, but it's not really all that important. But it is profiling sexually motivated crimes. And in that, they were speaking of the fact of how many can be rehabilitated. Now, in that, they said it really doesn't matter if you give them probation, you sentence them to prison, or you put them on, like, you know, where they're wearing the cuff and all this shit, that over a certain amount of time, that they will all reoffend to some degree. Not all, but many, almost most. It's like 90-some% will always reoffend, no matter what you did to them. Okay? Once they get out, once that they are able, once that like opportunity is there, you know, and you got that convenience of crime, that they will reoffend. Now, that tells me that these people are diseased, that this is their mindset. This is the way they think. Nothing changes that. Now, the reason for that is, one, they don't have available means to conduct themselves in an adult relationship. Okay. Now, and a lot of times that forces the person to perpetrate like sexual molestation on a child, because the child is taking the place of an adult that they don't know how to deal with, you know, in that manner. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, arrested development for that.
So, you know, and that is the reason why. Now, once that begins, once you get that kind of a person doing that, then they start upping the ante. You see, each time they become more confident in the crime that they're committing. And that's when it can start to get violent. That's when they can start to apply threats. That's when they can start taking outside chances once their confidence goes up. That's when it can go into like rape, you know, and that's when it goes into rape. Then it can go into like, well, now this person knows what I look like, so I got to kill them. You know, it starts a progression. So in many cases, man, especially with like, especially anything like, well, and I don't want to just put violent into it, but child molestation in general, there isn't much in the way of rehab. But on a flip side, it's like, well, what do you do? Now, you could kill them, but I'm sure that every bleeding heart liberal in the world would be like, oh, you can't just kill somebody. My God, they could be rehabilitated. You know, it's like, well, honestly and statistically, they really can't. I mean, they can. There's that chance, but the real truth behind it is it's probably never going to happen. And what you're doing anytime you release them or put them back in the public is you're setting the public back up again for a reviolation.
I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd put them on an island way out in the middle of the ocean and put a whole squad of the meanest gorillas out of the Congo, you know, big silverback gorillas, and I would administer a truckload of Viagra to them gorillas and primates. And I would say, there you go, boys. Now you're going to get what you deserve, what you've done to these little kids. And they'd spend the rest of their days being chased around that island.
Well, as cool as that is, It is missing the, the public display of it. I mean, if we could get that on video, that'd be cool.
Oh, hell, we'd have Vince McMahon just, put his big Pottentrons out there.
Saying this is what happens when you mess with children, people. Look at that horny gorilla. Would you look at him get down?
I mean, my God, dude. There's two things, man. I don't see how any man, a full-grown man, can go out here and do what, these monsters do.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And, and you take some fool like this
one second.
movie star or whatever the heck she is that wants to go down and free because he wrote her a convincing letter. What about the 12-year-old that he brutally raped? What about these other women that he raped and killed? I will not be able to fathom it. I just don't understand it. And, between you and me, Mike, when they do get, that dude from St. Louis up there in the court, there will be some idiotic person that will be, oh, God, what about his right? What about those two girls' rights that he mutilated, done whatever it was he done to
Give
them?
me one quick second, if you would, real quick. Because I have an answer for that. I have the answer for that, and it's called a K-bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Step your ass the F back or die. Well, I wouldn't kill him, but I would certainly make a threat to. Because people like that, you know what, man? I got a religion, man. I got this religion, and it works like this. You know what you do to stupid people? You make sure they can't, procreate. Because, man, it's the stupid people that's fucking it up for everybody.
That's great. But, Mike, I had a quick question I was going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
What if, when he gets all his stuff to the meat and bone there in Missouri and decides that he wants to waive and go ahead and get sent to Indiana?
Okay.
Now, he can do that, can he?
That he can just say, I'm ready to go to Indiana?
Say like if, he can sign extradition. He can go ahead and say, look, you've tried and you've convicted me here. I want to sign the appropriate paperwork for you to go ahead and ship me to Indiana and come, and not fight it.
Okay.
And then, let's say, say like both states. Let's say both states have him on the death penalty. One has the chair, one has lethal injection.
Okay.
Now, would he have, at the end of the day, would he be able to sign the appropriate paperwork to decide which state gets him? Or would that be something that the two states would have to fight in court?
Well, and again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. You have time on this, and you have to look at that. Because if you take his cases back to the first one that he can be nailed on via DNA, that far exceeds Evansdale. It probably goes back beyond Mary Pryor, which was in 97. They could go back to Susan Collins. I don't think we'll ever know about that, but I can guarantee you that there's going to be some in California. There's probably more in the Midwest between Illinois. I could also throw in Beth Bentley as a possible one, but at the same time, he'd probably have to admit to that because there is no DNA or fingerprints. Some of it is what he's going to have to admit to. But in other cases, they got him and they got him solid. I know that they have DNA in Ann Pate's, Mary Pryor. I know that they have DNA in Delphi. I know that they have DNA in Susan Collins. So now, and I'm positive that if anything was done in California, they as well have DNA, because this has been very long. And the FBI is known for quite some time that this guy's out there. That's why they was in Delphi so quick, because they said, hey, this might be our guy. This might be that dude. You see where I'm at? So once they knew that, I think that they was on top of it.
So more than likely, he's going to try to make some kind of deal with his attorney to where every time it looks like he's going to, be, put up, in the chair or to the needle, he's going to come out and say, well, I've got more bodies or more that I can, if you make some kind of deal with me, I can, tell you about this crime or that crime or whatever.
Well, and again, my biggest thing on this is this: he could come out and he could say, and I'm just giving a theory only. He could say, you know what? I committed crimes that you have no idea of, and you never will. However, what I will do is I'll come out and I'll tell everything on every single crime that I know. Every single one. I will give you every exclusive detail for everything. But for that, in consideration of that, I don't want death in any of these cases. But I'll come forward and I'll give you everything you need for a guilty verdict. And I'll go in and I will plead guilty. Now, if he does that, though, that's going to take the courtroom out, because in a couple of these cases, these are minors. They're not going to want that spread around. They're not going to want the world to hear about that, rightfully. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that I put into this case that does not deal with those girls. And I need those clarified. I need those confirmed, because that's what gives me the, yeah, of course I did it correctly. That's what I want, is what I put into it. Look, this has been 3 years of work. It will be 4 years of work, 4 years of looking through everything on this man. I don't think that I've left one thing uncovered at this point, but new information may arise. There's very little that I am looking at right now, mainly the vehicle. 2, I can't see his face clear enough in the video to make a determination if that's him, but nobody can. You see where I'm at?
Yeah. Well, it makes me wonder if he ain't got, if he ain't got ties to that Miss Fontaine murder down there in Louisiana.
There's now, I don't want to give her name, but now she had just sent me something, man. I believe it was yesterday. It could have been the day before, about a girl that was murdered on a trail in Pennsylvania, which had a very similar MO. And I did look at that, and I got on Google Maps and kind of checked into that. Now, there was a girl that was murdered. God, man, I forget the name of the park, but it was right up there in Washington near Bremerton. Now, I knew he was in the Navy, and I looked at the date, and I know that he was on the Kitty Hawk. So I looked to see when the Kitty Hawk was there at Bremerton, because it fit his MO, and it was a young girl. And it was just the savage nature of the crime that made me think of him. So, like I say, there's going to be a lot that feeds back here. Unknowns, unknown cases that I couldn't find, because if I'm looking at the death of everybody in America, my God, I'd be busy for a lifetime. But there are the ones that's going to come across where I'm going to find him, and I'm going to see him. I'm going to see the location, and I'm going to say, yes, I can place him there. And that gives me reason to at least say person of interest. Not suspect, but definitely somebody that I could say, you know what, he may have did that.
The thing is, man, they ever really get him, down to the brass tacks. I would like to, just be able to just sit there, in that courtroom and watch the whole thing. I know I won't be able to. I live too damn far away, but man, justice. I'd love to just see it done, and I know there won't be no court TV or anything like that, but,
No.
I guess the satisfaction I have to become a new newspaper clippings or, online, But God, Mike, it can't come soon enough, Mike. It can't come soon enough.
It could be years away. It literally could, and it depends. Evansdale happened before Delphi, Mary Pryor and Ann Pates before that. If we go back before that, we're looking at California. There could be other cases in the Midwest that were completely unknown that he had did. So, yeah, man, it could take a long time unless he confesses to everything and then goes state to state just to say guilty.
I just don't understand how his wife, didn't know none of this.
How would she, man? Even his friend said he was a great guy, man. He was a great dude. Friendly, super nice guy.
Man.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that puzzles me on it, man.
Well, I mean, I see where you're at, but at the same time, this guy was very compartmentalized. I mean, he had to be. I mean, he walked around being a nice, friendly guy, just a real good sort. The kind of people that people like really liked, man, thought the most of. But there was a flip side demon to him. Well, that being the case, it's not that he was always that demon. He was generally playing that other guy, just like Ted Bundy. People thought Ted Bundy was a nice, respectable young man. I mean, that's the way that he was looked upon because he compartmentalized it real well. Now, Thomas Bruce drank, and I think that he drank to help cover. But, I mean, once those feelings had kind of laxed and everything, I don't think it was anything in his face that would give it away. Not in his normal day. You can look at some of his pictures and go, yeah, he looks like a real friendly guy. I mean, you can't really see it. Now, in some of them, when he's pissed, you can.
Well, I tell you, he looks like a damn raving maniac, and he's in court in that one pitch.
Yeah, he does.
I mean,
Do what?
Stare about him.
Yeah. Yeah. It was that stare, man, right there. That's what made me think. That was the last two things those girls seen. That was it right there. Hey, I'm losing you, man. You broke up real bad here. Hello? I'm here. I can barely hear you, though.
Sometimes I don't.
Yes.
I'll let you go, brother, and I'll talk at you later.
All right, man. Thanks for calling, Double Ants, man. I appreciate your call, bro. You have a good Christmas. I think he left. All right. Well, that concludes 2.5 hours. So, anybody want to take it to 9? Anybody? Put a Y if you want to go to 9. If not, man, we'll call it an eve. If you want to call in and you got a minute, here's the phone number. Do it quick. I do enjoy talking. I sure frick do. I'm a man about some talk, man. You know what? Normally, as a habit, because there is nobody else to talk to. Well, I mean, there is, but they don't really know the case. It's more me saying stuff and them going, oh, wow, really? Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's insane. Huh. Man, nutty, dude. That's what I normally get. So I go to the people that are in the know. Namely, Woof. Woof knows quite a bit. I know it sounds stupid that I'm talking about my dog, but the simple fact is my dog's he's overheard everything. He does. He at least has an understanding of most. It's not like he can answer. It's not like he can say shit. But he certainly looks at me with a good study in his mind. I can tell he's thinking. Yeah, it cut out. It kind of sucks, man. I like talking Double Ants, man. He's always got good questions. All right, man. We got 2 minutes. Without a phone call, we're calling it an eve. And I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, because you know what? Christmas comes around once a year and it is a joyful time. Man, here. You know what? I don't even know why these people get on here. I mean, like, my God, man, it's like Michael the cunt. You know, he's just changing like accounts. I wish that I had some subscribers that had like 50 different accounts, and then you could just come on and all thumbs me up. Wouldn't that be something? It would be like beating the trolls. Why am I the one that always has to think about this shit? Why? I don't know why you guys don't throw it together, man. You guys just throw it together and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to make multiple accounts. I'll go give him like 10 thumbs up just because. Don't want the trolls to win. See, people actually come on here to say, this is crap. Well, if I had a child and he was watching a television show and he watched it every week just so he could sit there and say, this is crap, I would probably pull out a belt and I'd probably beat his ass for it and say, kid, you're too stupid. You're way too stupid. You couldn't have come from my lawns, boy. Yeah, you didn't come from down here. Yeah, I know he does, man. That's his primary joy, man, is to come on here to be a douchebag, which I don't mind. I mean, it is all trolls. Yeah, I don't hate him, man. You know, I hope all you trolls have a Merry Christmas, man. Hey, at least have that. Nah, he was gone. He was gone before that. I just say crap. Whatever, man. Bye. I thought, man, you know what? I banned people I liked. Didn't even know it. I just thought, man, stupid comment. Bye. Then they're like, dude, why'd you block me? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, man. I was feeling hasty. All right. Well, it's 8:31. So, everybody, this is wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Now, I will be back probably, and that will not be done until after next Tuesday. I know I've been on a promise of this week for 2 weeks, but there is a lot of editing that needs to be done in that timestamp video. You want that done correctly because this is the video of a lifetime. Trust me on that. Don't miss it. And so until probably that video is done or I throw one out in the meantime between now and next Tuesday, I will see you next Tuesday. Peace, everybody. And thanks. Thanks, mods, very, very much, man. And I appreciate everybody else for being here. And thanks for the calls. Peace.